Hello again and welcome back to another one. And today we have a couple of topics to cover. From one that shows 50 Cent continued to go off on Joe Budden on social media over Joe Budden getting in his business when Joe suggested that 50 Cent needs therapy. And today we also have one that's familiar to some of you who've been with us for some time now. The fake story about how Michael Jackson, as revenge, bought Eminem's entire catalog to show him who's boss because Eminem made fun of him on Just Lose It. And that story has gone international, and thankfully a feature on X has been proving quite useful when it comes to shutting this down, and we'll expand on this in a moment. Today we also have more on Kendrick Lamar versus Drake, as we got updates on the lawsuit that saw Drake score some small wins when it comes to the case versus UMG. However, based on the latest projections, Kendrick could embarrass Drake next week, and this has sparked heated debates, which we'll get to in a moment. And today we'll be starting with a message from T-Pain meant for those who mock rappers and celebrities who decide to fly coach instead of using private. Check it out from T-Pain. If you don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Pass me the Biscoff cookies, laughing emojis.
To take a private jet from Atlanta to Vegas and then back to Atlanta is $126,000. And y'all are asking me, do you understand what I'm saying? Are you okay now? You feel like it? No private jet? What? You're not taking a private jet? You're not spending all this money to go make money? Why would you do that? In what world is that smart? Then y'all be like, hey, going broke again.
So as you saw, $126,000 for a return trip. And this sparked some hilarious reactions like, you could get a mansion in Wisconsin for that. And some users missed the joke, as this is a reference to Can't Believe It by T-Pain. And we got some entrepreneurs on X here to set it straight for T-Pain. To be fair, you could buy one and rent it out to people, then it would be making money for you, Nappy Boy Airlines. And this sparked reactions like, it is always people with no clue what they are talking about with the most grandiose ideas. You could do a lot of things. That does not guarantee success. You don't just buy a plane. Now you have to put employees on payroll, insurance, licensing, a small runway, and much more, including unforeseen expenses. And moving on to the next point today, Kendrick keeps killing it in 2025, as we got a recent report like Kendrick Lamar has now earned over 3 million streams on Spotify in 2025. He becomes the first rapper of the year to reach this milestone. However, it is this next report that made things interesting, that showed the projected sales for next week's Billboard charts. And as you can see, Kendrick Lamar's GNX is tracking to outsell Drake's latest album next week. And boy, this sparked reactions like, mind you, Luther is projected to go #1 again as well. Kendrick is deadass about to have the #1 album and #1 single again. The album dropped in late November, we are in March. And boy, users started going off on Drake. A user expanded, if GNX sells more than some sexy songs for you, every owl will be on here, we'll be ready to end it all. Laughing emojis. But what do you think? Is this excuse valid? Solo rap album versus R&B collab album, if we are still being real. And these users kept going. Didn't the biggest rapper in the world drop an album last 2 weeks? GNX replay value is insane. And some have jumped to conclusions that if some sexy songs for you ends up outselling GNX this week, then it will be Drake who will be guilty of foul play. Check this out. Drake will get that 4,000 when he pays off a few more influencers to post videos pretending to dance to Nokia, unfortunately. And some in Drake's corner are also screaming foul play. Check this out. In response to Kendrick's GNX pacing to outsell Drake's new album, I'm convinced his streams are crazily buttered at this point. And before we get to an update on Drake's latest lawsuit that shows Drake score a small win, Not Like Us keeps flying, as this snippet hit the web a few hours ago. Check it out. A groom remade Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us halftime performance for his wedding entrance.
It's the wedding day vibe, I'ma step up through the door. set in place. This is bigger than the moment.
You really got to do it?
Yeah, they tasted all love, but you can't shake what's chosen.
They get on it like that.
Hey, yo, tripping on shit.
And as it stands, this has sparked two types of reactions for the most part. On one end, everyone just dancing on Drake's grave, I love it laughing emoji, and on the other end, most corny moment in his entire life. But where do you stand? Do you think it's funny or do you think it's corny? And moving on to the update on Drake's lawsuit with UMG for defamation over Not Like Us, that as you can see is already making its way into wedding ceremonies. Well, we got an update a few hours ago. It goes, Drake wants to see Universal Music Group's emails about Kendrick Lamar's diss track, and it is a small win for Drake. Check it out. A federal judge on Tuesday denied UMG's bid to pause discovery in a defamation lawsuit accusing it of launching a campaign to create a viral hit out of the song. The order was issued a day after Drake moved for permission in Texas state court to depose a UMG representative and the production of certain documents relating to whether the label was actually a clearinghouse for promoting the track or actively schemed to promote it by covertly paying radio stations. And Drake's legal team released a statement after the small win. Check it out. In a statement, Drake's legal team said it is pleased with the court's decision to reject UMG's continued attempts to stall discovery. Another clear sign that UMG cannot run from or bury the truth, it added. This ruling, along with our motion for discovery in Texas yesterday, together represent major steps forward in holding UMG accountable to shareholders and artists for their repeated and egregious actions. And personally, I'm really invested in seeing where this goes. And do you think Drake is gonna win or lose? We ran a poll a few days ago, and over 70% of users voted that they believe Drake is gonna lose the case. But what are your thoughts? And moving on to the next point, 50 Cent is not done with trolling Joe Budden for getting in his business. And if you recall, a few days ago we covered a story that hinted at Joe Budden nearly getting jumped in a gentleman's club, and they spoke about this on Joe Budden's podcast if you recall. But 50 isn't done with Joe. He took to IG a few hours ago to post this snippet of Joe Budden being weird.
I always want to make the dog feel good by playing with their fucking privates.
Yeah.
But they like that. They protect their animals.
Stop my dog.
That's how I know that he's not a real animal lover.
Because I don't play with my pets.
Anybody with a pet, you come on, you did a little something down there, man, made your dog feel good.
Hell no. I've never done.
And he added the caption, eyes emoji. Wait a minute. Joe, you need therapy. Something is not right. You touch your pet sexually, masturbate so often you need travel lube and sleepwalk naked outside of your home. You should have to register as a sex offender. And this man 50 Cent tagged Petter. And this sparked reactions like, breakfast has not even been had. Man, give us a minute to get acclimated before you start this ish. Laughing emoji. And another user expanded. Dude really said that like it's normal. How does this guy have friends? And this is true. We thought it was over. And now 50 Cent dropped another one. Check this out. When you think 50 let up, boom. He gives you a random reminder to let it be known that you effed up. Laughing emojis. And I'll be looking forward to your thoughts on Joe Budden's statement.
Anybody with a pet, you come on, you did a little something down there, man, made your dog feel good.
Hell no. I've never done.
Got him. He fucking got him.
Just need a little bit of water.
Do you agree with 50 that that's enough to get him registered as a sex offender? You know, coupled with the report from December of Joe walking around his apartment hallway naked. And moving on to the next one, we got the classic that refuses to die. There was a time this story went viral every week on Twitter before it became X, but things have been changing since a new feature was introduced. However, this didn't stop the post from going viral. Check it out. When Eminem made fun of Michael Jackson, the king of pop, hip-hop responded in a way that no one saw coming. Not only did he humiliate him, but he also ended up being his boss. From that day on, Eminem had to pay Michael Jackson every time he sang his own music. Keep reading.
Bravo! You've discovered our little secret. Applaud, everyone. Applaud sarcastically. No, that sounds too sincere. Slow clap. There we go.
Now, we already debunked this on this channel like years ago, and thankfully the community notes came in clutch to shut this down after it went viral. The information in this thread is false. Famous Music did not include Eminem's entire catalog. It only contained a portion of the song The Real Slim Shady. This can be verified by checking the official statement that Sony ATV released before and after the purchase. And what is wild is the deal included over 120,000 songs from artists from several genres, from pop, Latin music, all the way to hip-hop, and acts like Shakira was also in the deal. But somehow this was weaponized to create a story about how Eminem was targeted by Michael Jackson over the joke on Just Lose It, and thankfully this feature was added to Twitter. But that will be all for today, and I'll be looking forward to your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.